Alright, so for legal reasons, everything I say in this video is an absolute lie, but yes, crumbl did in fact give me a tumor. You wanna know why? Because fatty tissues, a lot of cookie, a lot of whatever crap on the jigs. You know, whenever you work in there, you kinda have to eat a lot of sugar to like taste test things and make sure it's alright. Well, guess what I had to do? I had to eat a lot of cookies, I had to exist inside a very cookie-filled environment. I think I had some kind of allergic reactions, honestly, to some like the different things in there, because my skin was always like feeling like it was on fire. But I just this is my story, an absolutely 100% fictional story, by the way. Alright, so basically, like how all great stories start, I was depressed, and I was just like, gosh darn it, I don't have a job. So, I was just chilling, you know, just existing. I had previously worked at Chick-fil-A for a few years, almost 3 years, just a couple months short of that. And, I mean, it was genuinely a good work experience for me. I enjoyed it personally, just because already I don't really have, like, crazy hair, crazy anything or anything like that. You know, obviously, like, I never dyed my hair. I was the perfect candidate for a a Chick-fil-A employee. And then I left that environment to seek adventure, and then I got broke again, so I was like, I gotta get another job. So, yeah, I was just chilling, and my dad was like, hey, there's this cool job here on crumbl. And I'm like, what the frick is a crumbl? And he said, crumbl cookies. They make cookies. And I'm like, I don't want to be somewhere where there's a bunch of cookies. You realize how terrible my control is, self-control? Like, gosh darn. And then he's like, alright, you're broke. And I'm like, fair. Okay. So then I went to this crumbl thing. It was very suspicious because they were just doing open interviews where you could literally just walk in without applying and, like, you know, just be interviewed. So I walked in, and immediately I recognized that there was a little bit of chaos going on. The kitchen was a bit of a mess. The employees were all the managers, and there were like boxes being loaded in and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, I think I know why they're doing walk-in interviews. And I was correct. It was I sat down with this dude who is like the store owner or whatever, and he like interviewed me, and I knew I was gonna get the job. Okay, he interviewed me for, oh my gosh, it was 40 something minutes. Just because apparently I'm like fun to talk to, and he just kind of lost track of time, and I just kept looking at I didn't really look at my clock, obviously, because good job, I don't really hang out with my phone that much when I'm on the clock. Anyways, so I kept that policy where I just wasn't looking at my phone, but I just could tell the shadows were changing. I could tell time was passing. So yeah, eventually I was just like, it's probably been a while, and he was like, oh yeah, we should probably do that. So you should probably move on. And then we both stood up, and he was like, congrats, you have the job. And I was like, okay, nice. And then I went backstage. They kind of like handed me, they asked for my shirt size, they asked for blah blah blah, and I was just like, dang. Dang, it's chaotic back here. So I was super excited, to get my next job. Whoa! Like, it was nothing like Chick-fil-A. Okay, listen, Chick-fil-A in comparison is a well-oiled machine. You arrive there, you are told exactly what to do, like, oh, you're gonna do this. You do that for 3 hours, someone comes out and says, hey, you're gonna do this for the next 3 hours, you move on, and then every 3 hours your shift changes, you do something else. And crumbl, like, especially my experience, like, there was just no management. There were literally no managers. The people that I saw that day, they were all ghosts, apparently, because they were not there the next day. It was just me and a bunch of other, like, 16-year-olds. I was the oldest one there, guys. I was like, oh my gosh. I just turned 22, so I was 21, 20, somewhere around there. Yeah, I was 21, so like a 21-year-old with a bunch of these little kids. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, no. So, you know what I did the first day? It was hectic, bro. There was, like, a bunch of people just, like, everywhere, and they all wanted their cookies, and I'm just here in this room with, like, a bunch of, like, people that are just running around doing whatever they can, and I had no one to teach me how to do anything. So what I did was I just cleaned the whole day, and I just kind of watched other people, and I observed what they were doing, and eventually I kind of got more of an idea of, okay, this is how you're supposed to run the store, this is, how you make the cookies and stuff. But I just had to like sit back and like clean and watch people, which, I mean, it was a very good thing. I spent an hour straight in the bathroom. Oh, the bathrooms. Oh, the bathrooms when I arrived. Oh, I was like, in my head, I was like, this is why. I bet this is why like 25 gazillion% of the people left. Because the bathrooms were abhorrent. Oh my gosh. I took a mop to the walls. It was that bad. Like, I spent an hour in there just deep cleaning the heck out of that thing. And then so many people were thanking me afterwards. Like, it was amazing. I felt like a true contributor to society. Anyways, so after that, first day was a bit hectic, just a bunch of cleaning. Second day, I actually had, oh gosh, there was somebody. Oh yeah, there was the guy who'd been working there for like 3 years or something. So somehow this dude had been working there for 3 gosh darn years. 3 years! Like, how did he even have that job? So he was like doing night shift, and I was just chilling like with him, like, and he was just teaching me how to like actually work at the store. And he was just talking about how people had tried to fire him for like years, but since he was like the only person who knew what he was doing, they couldn't really fire him. And so that, like, he swore a lot, but he was genuinely just a fun, chill guy. And so yeah, I had fun. We talked, and it was a good experience. And so like time passes, things go on. I eventually take a more like morning shift because I would prefer just the calmness of the morning. Like, I showed up 1 week before the most hectic week of the year. Yes, the week of the year where like entire stores would just walk out, entire staff would just walk out, and the whole store would have to close down. That week, I was there, and like I showed up just before that, so I like had a week to like learn what I was even doing. And by the time that week showed up, like they threw me front and center. They had told me, hey, you're gonna have to like handle all these customers, and there was a ton of them. Okay, listen, this is like hundreds of people. There were at least like 50 people in like the waiting room waiting for their cookies, and I am up front, unable to leave to actually make any of the cookies. I have to stand there, and all I can do, we've run out of cookies. I just have to stand there and say, sorry, sir, I'm afraid we've run out of this cookie. And then, like, everyone else behind me is scrambling, and I want to go back there and help them make cookies, but, like, oh wait, this is a story for later, sorry. Okay, this happened later, the story I'm telling you. It happened later whenever we got our manager, because, oh my gosh, our manager. Our manager, she made absolute sense. Her brain was fully cognizant. Fully cognizant, a woman she was. She was definitely not high 99% of the time. Definitely, no, that would be absolutely slanderous of me to even suggest such a thing. So anyways, for like the first month or so that I was working, there was no manager, no nothing, just us against the storm of human beings wanting diabetes. And so finally, a manager does arrive. A wild manager has appeared, and by this point, I've already established myself as pretty much a leader of the group, because like I'm the oldest, and so everyone kind of looks up to me just because I'm the oldest, and that's kind of it. So it's almost like she didn't target me, thankfully, but I was like next in line for her targeting, because the actual person she targeted was my friend, because like just like a few days before, I told my friend, hey, you need to join, like, right now, because this is a great opportunity, a job, you can just make cookies. And so she was like, nice. So she went to this job thing, and we just chilled, I guess, and we, like, made cookies. Both of us were, very good work ethic. I used to work at Chick-fil-A, so obviously I kept that kind of quick, work and snappy, this is how you do things, you do it well and fast. And so, like, I kept that up. I even kept saying my pleasure to the customers, and everyone kept teasing me for that. But I didn't really care to change the habit. But anyways, so once the manager showed up, she was just like, alright, who do I need to dethrone? Who do I need to dethrone from this place? So she locked onto my friend because for some reason, my friend applied for a manager position. Even though she had never even stepped foot into the store. She applied for a manager position. I told her not to, but she was like, nah, I'm going for them big bucks. And I was like, no, you need to know the store first. So, anyways, she applied for the position. And then the manager shows up, and she's like, oh, you want target number one. So she started, like, really, like, getting on to her. And it does not help that my friend has, like, 50 million mental issues. I mean, sorry, mental issues maybe as well, but physical issues, like she has seizures, she has like she was vomiting blood basically. So long story short, my friend was vomiting blood in the bathroom, and she was not allowed to go home because the manager was just like, nah, this is your shift, girl, you need to continue working. And so my friend just continued working. She'd like go to the bathroom, vomit some blood, then she'd go to like in the kitchen, and she'd bake cookies. Like, she actually worked with food. That's not allowed. That's not physically allowed. That is illegal. Our whole place could have been shut. Again, this is a fictional story. I'm just telling my own fictional tale. But in this fictional world, in this fictional tale, she would have 100% been like, the place would have been gone, brother. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm so sorry. I get excited to talk to people. I like talking to. Anyways, so then, what was I saying? Cheeseburger. Sorry, my ADHD kicked in. I kind of lost train of thought. Oh yeah, I'm leaving this in. All of this. I'm trying to think. What was I saying again? Hold on, I might need to pause and re-listen to this. Oh yeah, so basically, because my manager was kind of annoying, I was so glad to be working morning shift, because she always worked night shift, and so I was like, I get to like avoid you at all costs. It was amazing, but my friend had so many funny stories of like the manager and like her just being high a lot. And yeah, so that was like, okay, the thing is, before the manager showed up, drama was like it was not that, like, we were all fighting for survival. We were acting like soldiers on the front lines, like, oh my gosh, like all of us were just like, we might be existing in the like worst possible position, so that means we must at all costs stand by each other's side and never leave each other. So that's why we were all like tight, you know. We'd survived the hard cold war, the harshness of the battles. And so then when the manager shows up, she starts picking fights. She starts like sharing rumors and saying, hey, I heard this person say this and this person say this, and you know, like picking up. And so like literal like manipulative like mental warfare on us. And we're since all, but it didn't work too well because all of us had already been through so much. And like she really targeted my friend, and since I have been with her like since childhood, I was able to like, whenever other people brought up the rumors, I'd be like, no, that's not something she'd do. That's not something she'd say. Obviously, that's not how that works. So, and they trusted me because, you know, we'd already gone through the roughness of war together. So basically, all of us were these hardened like veterans against this like one manipulative like high girl, and she got so angry. Because none of us were falling for her tricks, and so she just slowly became more and more insane as like the months progressed. And she just like she went from specifically trying to target my friend and occasionally me as well, to just going out for everybody. No one was safe from her wrath. Like, bruh, she was crazy. Nobody liked her, and she didn't like nobody. So by the end, I'd been working there for maybe about 5 months, and like 5 months I was fast, I was doing things well, I was doing things right, I was teaching people. Like the managers started, we finally started getting new customers, new like what is it called? People training. what are they called? Staff, whatever. Anyways, so we finally started getting new coworkers, and then the manager was just not there to train them. So like I was the one having to train them. Mrs. Me only working there for like a few months. I still didn't know how like the cash register worked on at sometimes. Like I was just like, okay. And so I started training a lot of her people, and my friends started training. A couple other people started training. And there were also so many people leaving as well because, you know, what my friend had undergone. Obviously, there were a lot of people leaving. There was constantly people leaving, constantly people, you know, like there were more people leaving than there were coming in, and that was not good news. Just because, yeah. So, anyways, but after a while, it had been months, and I was just like, you know what? I think I want another job. Like, I enjoyed the job itself. I felt like I was playing a game of Among Us, except replace the murder with a new customer entering, and you're like, I gotta put my tasks aside for this. You know, whenever I used to play Among Us, like, it was just the tasks game for me. Anytime there was, like an emergency meeting, I was just like, oh, why you gotta take me away from my tasks, bro? I was vibing. So it's basically the same thing when it was as a crumbl. I was just vibing, making cookies, and then customers show up. How dare they? But don't worry, I was always courteous, always kind. I even had this lady, like, I made a joke to these teenagers, and they tried to, like, record me, but then when I tried to do it again, it wasn't as funny the second time, so they just kind of were like, okay. But anyways, so yeah, basically, after a few months, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work for my rich aunt. So I decided to, I created a deal with my rich aunt. I was just like, you know, I'm gonna work for you. And then I started boasting when I was like at crumbl. I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna go work for my rich aunt. I'm gonna go out of state. I'm gonna go hang around. I'm gonna go ride around in her massive cars, her fancy cars, in her big old house with a swimming pool, and I'm gonna have so much fun. And all these other people are just like, heck yeah, have fun. And the manager was like, yay, my best employee. I could hear the evil, malicious laughter in her inner depths of her soul. Because, okay, this is another thing, she's so two-faced. So, like, I'd be telling her about my stories and stuff, and she'd be like, oh, you should be a published author, and then I could be in your book, and you better make sure you write about me. This sounds so much fun. And I was like, sure. I know you are a conniving lady. Why are you talking so nicely to me right now? This is very rude. Anyways, so, after a little bit, I was like, I was ready to go. Okay, I put in my 2-week leave, and then it was new person after new person after new person entering, and they were like joining shifts with me. So usually I was working mornings, so like I was usually teamed up with these brand new people, had never worked before, and now understand I have to open an entire store at like I have to wake up at like 5 a.m., go to work, start opening a store, and then I find out that the person I'm working with has never worked a single day in their life, and then I just have to be like, I gotta train a new person on top of doing everything myself. So, okay, imagine like a couple weeks of this. You know, obviously I might have a little bit of a negative review, because then I kept getting the manager walking up to me saying, hey, you haven't been doing as well this past couple weeks. And I'm just like, I wonder why. Is it perhaps the chance that I'm always being partnered up with brand new people who don't know what they're doing? So, yeah, ow, my hand. Anyway, so this, like, kept, like, happening, you know, for the last couple, again, this is all a fictional story. This kept happening for the, like, next couple weeks where I was training new people, and obviously I couldn't run an entire store by myself because it's just me and one other person, and I'm always partnered up with these people who don't know what they're doing, except for occasionally the person who'd been working there for 3 years. He was fun to work with because he just chill, he just vibe. He'd just vibe and make cookies, and I could do everything else, and we'd be fine. And so, like, that was fine. But then whenever I was the one doing literally everything, and then also on top of that training somebody else, and then on top of that, once the store opens, having to serve customers and having to do all this stuff, and fixing problems and all this stuff. Oh, golly. I was ready to go, but I was so close, but I was like, I need to wait for the last day of my 2-week leave. And so on the last day, the guy I was partnered up with the guy, you know, the 3-year guy. So he shows up and he says, "Hey, the managers gave me, because there's like a regional manager, there's like an area manager, there's like a store manager, there's a bunch of different managers, and each one of them gave him a different list of cookies to make that week." And so he was just like, I just had to pick and choose. And so I was like, oh, golly, we don't know what we're doing. So he just randomly picked and chose a like list of like things to do. Oh, and also this day I didn't wake up at 5 a.m. That's probably a good detail. I didn't wake up at 5 a.m. for this shift. I woke up. I actually got to sleep in finally. But I arrived right after the store had opened. So I arrived to this mess. And also, just another tip, I was always the person actually cleaning the place, because anytime that I wasn't on shift and then I showed up late, the kitchen was chaos, bro. And then I would have to like quickly, you know, clean while working and then like clean up the store. Yay, it's finally manageable. Yay. Anyways, so my last day of my 2-week leave, I showed up late. The kitchen was a mess. There were many mistakes that the previous guys had made, because the 3-year guy had also been paired with a brand new person who had only been working there for like 1 day. And so he was just like, I had to do everything. The kitchen's a mess. I'm so sorry. I just picked a random list of cookies to make. You take it from here. And I was like, all right, buddy, I got this. And so I continued to teach the new girl how to work the store, how to cook, how to bake things, how to do all this stuff, you know, just helping her out. And I also had to clean the kitchen. I also had to, you know, just like help out all these other kind of things. And so like, and then the customers showed up, and like I had to help them, and I had to do it. Thankfully, it was a kind of slow morning, so that was good. That's one reason I like the morning shift so much. It's just so much more calm. Anyways, but then, the last day, the last, like, few hours of my shift, this dude calls, and he says, "Hey, your special cookie, it is in fact a Wednesday, and your special cookie is not on the menu. I ordered it, and it is not there. My little boy, it is his birthday, you see, and he really wanted this special cookie." And I'm just like, what the frick are you talking about? What special cookie? And so I was just like, okay, I'm sorry. Like I'm having to work this whole store myself. Can you please like choose a different cookie? And so he hung up or whatever. I don't even remember. This was a while ago. So he hung up. I just continued working, you know, trying to catch the store up, because like we're already like so far behind. And so I'm having to do everything and trying to keep everything straight. And then this dude calls again, and he says, my little son, you've made him cry. He really wants his birthday cookie." And I'm just like, why? Why me? And so I explained to him again that this is in fact, I do not know what cookie he's talking about, and that he must probably order another one. And then, like, after, like, he called me another time and was like, "My wife is waiting in the driveway for her cookie." And I said, "I'm so sorry for your wife. I'm so sorry for your son. But you must understand, I do not even know what cookie you're talking about. It's not on the list." And so finally, the manager calls me, and then she's like, "I have been receiving complaints from a certain gentleman. Care to explain yourself?" And I'm just like, oh, not these. Oh. So then I explained everything to her, and I told her that this is what's been going on. I'm kind of busy. I can't even start making the cookie because I'm also having to serve all these cookies. And listen, we have a special location where we're also testing cookies and all these other things as well. So on top of like the 6 normal cookies, there's also 2 more. And then there's a weekly one that just shows up only on Wednesdays. So that's like 8 extra cookies. Or more. 8 or 9 extra cookies. And then I have to make all of those, okay? Again, this is a fictional story. Completely fictional. As you can tell, I was completely sane throughout all of this. And so, we just existed, and the manager was just like, "You are going to make that cookie right now." And so I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I hung up the phone, and I quickly ran to go make that cookie. And then I get another call. And I'm just like, oh, who could it be? This is only bad news. So I went over to the phone to again pick up the phone, and then the manager's like, "Did you just hang up on me?" And I said, I'm making the cookie that you told me to make." And she said, "No, you are fired. Finish your shift, leave your shirt on the chair, and then get out of here. Never come back." I'm just like, okay. 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 Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I guess. Thankfully, we actually did have a good manager. Oh my gosh, this manager was actually nice. Like, she was the area manager. She kept running between different stores and like all this kind of stuff. She was actually nice. A slight bit manipulative, but she was still nice. And so this lady thankfully was able to like contact me and say, "Hey, we already have some of the stuff, like you can repurpose into this cookie, so you don't have to work so hard making it from scratch." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And so I quickly made those cookies, and then boom, I finally, the guy that originally was angry about it was gone by then, but other people got to enjoy them, I guess. Anyways, so oh yeah, also that's also a fun tangent. I worked 2 locations, not just one, but 2 locations for extra cash, because yes, I'm a go-getter. I do not have a life the moment I get a job. Like, that's just me. I was actually in trouble for working too much. That was one reason the managers got onto me, because they were like, "You are working too much. Stop working." And I'd be like, "No, I need money." So, yeah, I would work some days. This actually happened a few days where I worked from like morning to noon at one location, and then I would go over to the other location, and then I'd work from like noon to closing. And so the whole day was spent at crumbl. And this happened a few times. So this was like, 13 hours, 14 hours spent at crumbl locations. Lovely. I don't even know what to say about that. Anyway, so my last day, I was just like, oh, I got fired on my last day. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll finish my shift then. And so I continued, because I am a good coworker. I'm a good person. I'm good to my girls. I gotta take care of them, because all these girls are brand new. They don't know what they're doing. And so I have to then, like, instruct the new people showing up, because like I was fired right as some new people were starting to come in to like take the shift, and like not like take over for me, but they were like starting to like join, because there were going to be a lot of customers soon. And so I started just instructing them on what to do, and I started making that cookie, that gosh darn cookie. And like I had to like take just a really brief moment. This was one of my rare moments where I actually cried a little bit. I went to the bathroom, and I just kind of like stood there, and I was like, oh my gosh, why me? And so, just because I really don't like injustice, okay? Listen, injustice makes me cry. So that was one of the few moments where I actually cried. So just a little bit of fun fact there. Yay, this video is going to be way too long. Anyways, and so then I finished my shift. It was, I didn't have the money because I was, like, budgeting all my money, right? And so I didn't have any extra cash to buy a new shirt, so I just threw on a jacket over my, bra, and I just walked out of there. Like, when my shift was in, like, I had to work, like, 3 more hours before finally, like, leaving. So I worked those hours. I did my best. I tried my best to instruct the remaining girls there on what to do and, like, how to do things. And then I left, and I was like, oh, this is just my life, I guess. And so it was January. I was like, it's kind of cold. I'm kind of cold now. Not having a shirt kind of makes you cold. So, yeah. That's my crumbl story, my 100% fictional crumbl story. So, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did not, then fair enough. Anyways, bye guys. See you later. Oh yeah, I probably should mention the actual reason I ended up making this video is because crumbl did in fact give me a tumor. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to say in this fictional universe, crumbl gave me a tumor. Because I definitely do not have one on my back right now. That's definitely not what happened. No. But anyways, I was like working, you know, on top of like having like skin agitation, and I'm okay, understand, I overwork myself. Okay, either I'm going above and beyond and I'm overworking myself to death, or I am lazy as heck. I can never be in the middle for some reason. I am either one or the other. So at crumbl, I was overworking myself as heck, and I was going back and forth between locations, like all the time. And so I was just always in crumbl. So as you can imagine, always being in that kind of environment is not very safe for the physical body. And I am a testament of that. I am a walking testament of why crumbl is not exactly the safest environment, because I developed a tumor on my back while I was working there. I had no idea what it was at first. At first it just like was a hurt spot that was sore, and it kind of hurt, and I had to rub my shirt. I didn't like the friction in it. It was very sensitive, and then it eventually developed into more of a bump. And then I was like, this is kind of weird. At first, I thought it was a muscle. I thought like my back is already somewhat muscular, and so I thought it was like I was just like, heck yeah, I got muscle. But like, why is it only on one side? So then I was like, oh, this is just a stinking like bump. This is annoying. So then eventually, like actually just recently, I went to the doctor, and he was like, yep, your father's assumption, because my father is like the son of two nurses, so my dad correctly guessed that it was a harmless tumor. So don't worry guys, I'm not dying. Fictional me is not dying, don't worry. But it is still kind of annoying. So that's that. That is that, you know. That is that, yeah. Bye, guys. Oh, yeah, one extra fact. I literally got a burn on my arm the last day of work. I somehow, through the whole time, avoided getting any kind of injury. The last day, I burned myself on the arm, and I'm just like, oh, why do I have to leave with this? I still have the scar. It's very annoying.